Breaking news today, ladies and gentlemen. Did you know a network outage just hit Spain weeks after an extensive blackout? The outage today knocked out emergency phone lines in several parts of the country for several hours. But don't worry, they love you so much. Now, it's called Telefonica, I say that way wrong, outage in Spain that knocked out the emergency lines. They're still trying to figure out what caused it. But what's so interesting is this happens just weeks after a major blackout in Spain occurred across the Iberian Peninsula that affected Portugal and other parts of Spain. The electric power was out. It was interrupted for about 10 hours in most of the peninsula. And research suggests it wasn't a hack. Or was it? The plot thickens. We're going to talk about it. Thank you very much for being here with me. I hope you're having a beautiful day today. Be prepared, not scared. That's our motto here at Leak Project. Be the change you want to see. And remember, everything is bull until proven otherwise. Now, when you look into the article here, let's just do a quick screen share. I'll pull this up for you. Let me just share it with you. The New York Times, a nationwide phone network went down in Spain early Tuesday, knocking out emergency lines in large parts of the country for several hours. And this is just weeks after an extensive power outage that brought the country to a standstill. What's going on with Spain? It seems like Spain is, I don't know, does it seem like maybe we can't prove this yet, but feels like Spain's being targeted for some reason? Like, what's their stance on? Well, actually, just do a quick search. Type in, what is Spain's stance on? And see the first thing that pulls up on a Google search. That might lead some more questions for you that you might want answered. However, it's called Telefonica, one of Spain's largest telecommunications providers, said they call it a planned network upgrade. Of course they did, causing the outages. You know, it's all just part of the cards, folks. Landlines and internet services were hit the hardest. Callers in several regions were unable to reach Spain's national emergency number as well. They couldn't even call emergency services. But don't worry, it's just a planned update. We have done some network upgrade work, which has affected some companies, fixed communication services. Telefonica said in an emailed statement, adding that it was working to restore full service. I find that I find it kind of hard to believe. I don't know about you, but let's go over some other headlines real quick, then we'll get back into that. Gold firms on safe haven demand after Moody's U.S. downgrade. So gold is looking hot. I don't know if you've looked into gold or silver or not. Silver, some great opportunities as well. Now, there's obviously never any guarantees. So what do? You look at what the money funders are doing. Even hedge fund managers are usurping enormous amounts of gold right now. Precious metals are hot. Typically, they are in times like this with the markets. Now, if you've got a 401 or an IRA, check this out. Noble Gold Investments, for a limited time, exclusively for Leak Project listeners. They started this yesterday. I don't know if they're still offering this or not, so you need to give them a call and ask. They will offer you a 10-ounce solid silver American flag bar if you convert your 401 or IRA. However, if you say Leak Project sent you, ask how you can get an additional 5 ounces of silver, 15 ounces of silver, just to convert your 401 or IRA through Noble Gold Investments. Find out how to qualify. 1-877-646-5347. Go to noblegoldinvestments.com and let them know Rex from Leak Project sent you. Okay, let's get into it. So, independent.co.uk. Major mobile network suffers massive outage in Spain weeks after electricity blackout. A nationwide phone network is shut down in Spain just weeks after blackouts brought chaos and heavy financial damage to the country. Emergency services in a number of regions had to provide new telephone numbers for those in need after phone lines collapsed following network upgrades by Telefonica. Landline telephones were the worst affected, but all voice services by Telefonica appear to have been affected to some extent, according to reports in Spanish media. Now, do you find this very odd that it happens just weeks after the blackouts in Spain? And then Spain comes out and says, well, we're looking into what caused the blackout. We don't really know yet. We don't see any signs of hacking or hackers. I've heard everything from it was the sun, it was a solar flare, it was the magnetic storm, it was the pole, the magnetic pole shifting. I've heard all sorts of stuff, but nobody really has an answer. They just have speculation. So Let's just add to the speculative pot here. Could this be some kind of nefarious plan because of Spain's stance on specific scenarios, specific situations? Kind of seems like it, seems like it. Can we prove it? No, not yet. Are they working on it? They're trying. Will they admit it if it happens, if they can confirm it? I don't know. It might be one of those things where they feel it would be better not to confirm because they don't want to cause too much alarm because they've already caused enough. Very, very interesting. Also, so Reuters, no sign of cyber attack on power generation control centers during Spain blackout, says the minister. Spain has found no indication of a cyber attack on power generation control centers during the massive power outage that hit the country and neighboring Portugal, April 28th, Energy Minister Sarah Agassiz said on Tuesday. The investigation team looking into the causes of the blackout has not ruled out entirely a cyber attack at other levels, she said in an interview with radio station Onda Cero. I'm thinking of the film Leave the World Behind. Do you remember that film? Came out on Netflix a couple years ago, maybe it was a year ago. Good film, actually. I was pretty impressed with it. But there's these major outages that take place in the film. And if you remember in the film, there are discussions amongst the super rich and the super elite. And even they say something major is going to happen, but they don't know exactly when. Now, that makes me think that it's more than just the powers that be that are creating these scenarios. Like there could be some type of natural event or some type of astrological event that causes these things to take place. Now, in prepping for that, there could be beta testing going on. Okay, let's see what happens if the nation loses power. Let's see how the people respond. Let's see how quick they can get the power back up. Let's see what people do if they can't use their communication services. Let's take a bunch of notes and then see if we can use this data to predict future events. Now, what happens if there is an event that takes place, astrologically speaking, that is so catastrophic that it would cause similar scenarios that couldn't be controlled? Now, in the Leave the World Behind film, if you've seen it, if you haven't seen it and you want to watch it, let me just give you a second here. Spoiler alert, there's a little bit of information I want to share with you about the film towards the end of the film. So I'll give you a moment to hit pause or, turn the mute button on. But after the powers that be say something's going to happen, nobody really knows the time when, that makes me think they're not controlling it. But they want you to think that they're controlling it, right? Because if the powers that be can get you to think everything that happens is because of them, think of the power that you give them mentally. Oh, gee, everything that's happening is because they're doing it. So what do? There's nothing we can do because they control it all. That's kind of the mindset it puts into people. It's a psychological conditioning program, psychological conditioning nanu process. So Leave the World Behind towards the end. This kid finds a bunker in this really elaborate house. And there's this scene that my friend Angela noticed. I didn't even remember it until she brought it up. But there's a scene that shows these petroglyphs when she's in the bunker on the TV. And these petroglyphs are the research that we've been doing here at Leak Project and other places. Diamond from Oppenheimer Ranch Project as well. A lot of these petroglyphs most likely are depicting events that took place, like astrological events, major solar flares, comets, asteroids, aurora borealis type stuff. And they give this flash of a screen showing these petroglyphs in the doomsday bunker. Now, remember, there's all sorts of cataclysms that take place in this film. There's these weird noises that appear. The animals and the deer are acting weird. Power outages, communications outages. And so towards the end of the film, after they show that scene of the petroglyphs, then it zooms out and you'll see that the camera's actually filming the Earth from space, and you can hear all these satellites, and then it's zooming out of these satellites, and it makes you think that there's something that's going to take place in space. Like something's actually happening in space that's causing some of these events to unfold. So whether or not it's a solar flare, a comet, an asteroid, or, even more doomy and kind of conspiratorial, because people have been researching this for decades, but there's still no solid proof of an alleged like Planet X or Nibiru or Nemesis type. You can put any name you want, Planet 9, whatever, an incoming planetary body. Now, we can go back to the 80s even and before, when there were astronomers that said they found this planet X way out past Pluto, and then the information kind of gets suppressed and then it gets brought back up again years later. But they're still doing this cycle around, oh, we might know where it is, but we're not really sure. Oh, it might be there, but we're not really sure. But regardless, in the film, it does depict that there's something that takes place astrologically that causes these events to unfold. Now, let's look at the geomagnetic poles right now, or the magnetic poles. The magnetic poles are acting very bizarre. The Earth weather seems to be more extreme. You can call it climate change. Yes, the climate is always changing. Climate's always changing. So we've got a very real possibility that something either with our sun or with something in space that we don't see is having an effect on our planet here. So when I read articles about entire nations losing power and then communications going black, I'm starting to question, okay, is this natural? Is this man-made? Is it a man-made event that will be able to create enough data sets so that the powers that be can use that to predict what will happen with society if an event takes place that they can't control? Like a solar flare as an example, or an asteroid or a comet. We've got Apophis right around 2030 that's supposed to get really close to Earth. Updated orbit patterns and data suggesting that it's not going to hit Earth. And then you have to ask yourself, would they tell us if it was, or would they kind of make us feel that everything's going to be okay? Just go back to work, pay your bills, deal with your bills and your issues. Just keep doing what you do. Nothing to see here. Everything's going to be okay. I don't know. It's very speculative. So we have to kind of ask these questions. And once again, be prepared, not scared. We've got major power outages, major communication outages, and then also, so let's go back to this. Monday, 28th, April 2025, a major power blackout occurred across the Iberian Peninsula, affecting Portugal, the peninsular Spain. Electric power was interrupted for about 10 hours in most of the peninsula and longer in some areas. The power cut caused several difficulties in telecommunications, transportation systems, and essential sectors such as emergency services. At least 7 people. Okay, so I'll get to that in a minute. The total disconnected load can be estimated at 30 gigawatts. Minor power cuts lasting seconds or minutes occurred in adjacent regions of Andorra and parts of southwestern France. Reports indicated problems with the European synchronous electricity grid. Traffic lights in many places stopped working, and metro lines had to be evacuated. According to the website, Spanish electrical operator Red Eléctrica de España, that documents the power grid, there was sufficient power supplied to the grid. So they're saying they had plenty of power that was being supplied to the grid, yet at 12:30, April 28th, the grid was supplied with 32 gigawatts of power, and it only had to meet 25 gigawatts of power for demand. So they were exporting 2.6 gigawatts to Portugal, 0.87 gigawatts to France, and then 0.78 gigawatts to Morocco. The remainder was used for hydro pumping. More than half of the power supply was from solar. Most of the power drop occurred within 5 seconds when a substation in Granada fell, followed by grid failures, and the France connection decoupled at 12:33. Interesting timing, 12:33. There was a sharp drop at around 12:33 on the automatic system that monitors electricity production in Spain, and data after the event are no longer reliable because communication systems failed as well. So let's go back to what happened today. The network down early Tuesday morning. Emergency services in the Valencia, Aragon, and Basque regions scrambled to post mobile numbers on social media as an alternative for callers in Catalonia and Extremadura. The local authorities said its 112 services, which is kind of like 911, had been affected, but that contingencies were in place. The government of Andalusia also said, also said there was a nationwide issue with the 112 service and that the emergency lines were being restored. Interesting. Swamp gas, cyber attacks. Somebody saying, I don't like your stance on that particular political situation. Like literally type in Spain's stance on and see what pulls up. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Also, this is now let's talk about something even more interesting. I find this very, very odd. It's fascinating. This is fascinating. It's a little bit less doomy. So we're gonna put down the doom for a minute, and let's talk about something that is totally unexplained, that it's even leaving astronomers totally baffled. They don't know what the heck it is. Now, they've documented it. It's there, but they don't know what it is. Let me show this to you. Check this out. Boom. Mysteriously perfect sphere spotted in space by astronomers. It's a perfect sphere. Now, some astronomers have suggested it could be remnants of a supernova. And it could be, maybe, there's a slim chance, because usually the remnants of a supernova are asymmetrical, whereas this is symmetrical. And it's huge. It is absolutely massive. Here's the research article. The mystery of a perfectly shaped new galactic supernova remnant. We present the radio continuum discovery of a likely galactic supernova remnant. This object displays a remarkable circular symmetry and shape, making it one of the most circular galactic SNRs known. Nicknamed Teleos due to its symmetry, it was detected in the new Australian Square Array Pathfinder evolutionary map of the universe, radio continuum images with an angular size. The thing is gigantic. It is at least several hundred light years across. So how in the heck do we have this perfect sphere, several hundred, possibly several thousand light years across, floating in deep space? I mean, far out. It's pretty wild. This is what it looks like. Here it is. And this was published in the Astronomical Society of Australia. So it's not like somebody just, took a picture with their telescope or took a picture of a satellite image or something like that. No, we're looking at the data directly from the source. And when you look at it, you can see it is a perfect sphere. It is a perfect sphere. So what caused it? Solar flare, or not solar flare, supernova? Maybe. I mean, it's possible, but let's take a look at, hold on a second. Let me I'm going to pull up another article here. Okay, stand by. So, okay. I'm going to read to you a bit of this article. Data collected by a powerful radio telescope, astronomers have found what appears to be a perfectly spherical bubble. We know more or less what it is. It's the ball of expanding material ejected by an exploding star, a supernova remnant. But how did it come to be so perfect in shape? That's a puzzle. A large international team of astrophysicists at Western Sydney University in Australia have named the object Teleos after the ancient Greek word, or the ancient Greek for perfection. After an exhaustive review of the possibilities, the researchers conclude that we're going to need more information to understand how this object formed. Their analysis has been published at the publication of the Astronomical Society of Australia, which I just shared with you, and I'll leave the link in the video description box. The Australian Square Kilometre Array Pathfinder telescope has been uncovering a trove of peculiar circles of various kinds in the sky as part of its evolutionary map of the universe. And some of them at intergalactic distances have been difficult to figure out, like the famous odd radio circles. Teleos, located within the Milky Way, has a different origin story than the odd radio circles, or ORCs. Even though it's closer and therefore smaller, an inability to narrow down exactly how far away it is has proven a significant problem to understand its origins. So the colleagues of this study conducted a thorough analysis of the object. They found that it glows faintly only in radio waves or radio wavelengths. The wavelength of its glow revealed it's most likely the remnant of a type of supernova. one of the brightest types of supernovas in the universe. These supernovae occur when a white dwarf is in a close binary orbit with a companion star. It slurps up so much material from the companion star that it exceeds the mass limit and it explodes. That's straightforward. Problem is, working out distances to things in space can be quite difficult. The researchers were able to work out an estimate of the distance of Helios between, and this is a pretty big distance here, between 7,175 light years up to 25,114 light years. So with that in mind, the nearest distance, if it was closer, at 7,175 light years, the remnant or this sphere would be approximately 46 light years across. If we look at it from the greatest distance at 25,000 light years, it would be 157 light years across. So that makes me think probably not an artificial structure. If this thing is so massive that it takes light years to cross, I'm really, even if it's a type 3 civilization, if type 3 civilizations exist, I still find that pretty hard to fathom. So this remnant consists of an expanding cloud of material. So each size suggests a different age of the remnant. The closer distance suggests a younger supernova remnant that has had less time to grow. At a greater distance, it would have to be over 10,000 years old. So the problem with these scenarios, though, here's where astronomers and astrophysicists are finding problems with their theory. This type of supernova should also have X-rays being emitted from the blast, from the supernova. But guess what? There's no X-rays. No X-rays. So how do you have something so massive in space that was caused from an explosion, yet we don't see the explosion? It's a circular sphere, almost perfect, in deep space. So weird. Another possibility is that Helios is the remnant of a type lax supernova that doesn't destroy the white dwarf entirely, but leaves behind a zombie star remnant. Now, this nearly fits Helios emission properties, but it would need to be a lot closer at only about 3,262 light years away. So it's at least twice as far away to fit that criteria. If it is that scenario, that means Helios is a bit smaller, but it's still 11 light years across. Can you imagine? So even a star at that distance, so there is a star at that distance that could be a candidate for the zombie star, but none of the other independent measurements of the distance to Helios find that it could be that close. So bizarre. So bizarre. All of the other issues make the unusual issue of the remnants' near perfect symmetry fade into the background. Supernova remnants are almost always asymmetrical. The explosion itself may be asymmetrical. The expanding material may push into interstellar gas or dust that was already hanging out nearby, and eventually the shell will expand enough to start to fragment. However, if the supernova is symmetrical and takes place in an empty enough region of space, it can expand symmetrically. It just hasn't yet reached the point of fragmentation. It's a rare sight, but not an impossible one. So, Helios, so cool. Oh yeah. Here, let's look at some of the. Let's go back. I want to look at this real quick. Okay, we're here right now. You can see it right there. So cool. Okay. Put it in perspective here. A supernova, the cataclysmic explosion of a star, can leave behind a few different remnants depending on the star's origin or original mass and the type of supernova. This is kind of a cycle from cosmos at your doorstep. You would see the supernova, typically asymmetrical, and the recycling process of a star. Pretty cool. It's like the entire universe recycles itself continually, such as the Earth. The Earth recycles itself continually. It's fascinating. This reality is quite fascinating, folks. I don't know if you saw this article or not. This is a little bit more close to home. 1,000-foot tall mega tsunami threatens the United States across 3 regions, experts warn. This is the paper right here, increased flood exposure in the Pacific Northwest following earthquake-driven subsidence and sea level rise. This paper is released shortly after the TV series Paradise. I don't know if you've seen I was about to say Terabyte. Paradise on Hulu. It's a pretty good series. I mean, it's got its stuff that's not as cool. But anyway, in the series, there is this underground city built in Colorado under the mountains because the super rich and elite were warned about an event that's going to take place on the East Coast. And the event causes a major tsunami on the East Coast. And it sounds eerily similar to what would happen if this paper, or if what this paper is describing unfolds, a major mega tsunami on the East Coast. Now imagine how many millions of people are on the East Coast in these big cities, how many nuclear reactors are on the East Coast, how many chemical plants are on the East Coast. Imagine the impact a 1,000-foot tsunami would have on the East Coast. Well, that's what they're doing right here. And they're not trying to create fear. They are explaining the consequences of an event at this magnitude. So be prepared, not scared. This is cool. So remember I told you several weeks ago when China unveiled its 6th generation stealth fighter, and they're like, we have air dominance. We've got the 6th generation stealth fighter. It's got 3 engines. It's got a laser cannon. It's awesome. I'm like, wow, that's pretty freaking cool. And I also said, well, that is going to give the US a reason to say, well, you might have a 6th gen, but we've got a better 6th generation, or we've got a 7th generation. Well, this is the latest in 6th generation aircraft. The Air Force graphic depicts 3 aircraft generations that are going to be flying together. You've got the 4th generation fighters, 5th generation stealth fighters, as well as the upcoming 6th generation fighter, the F-47. And this thing is hot. This thing is incredible. If you go to TWZ.com, F-47 now has an officially stated combat radius of 1,000 nautical miles. This is a graph directly from X.com, General David Alvin. You can see the F-47. They're going to make 185 of these things at least. Has a combat radius of 1,000 plus nautical miles, top speed of Mach 2 plus, stealth mode, and it's going to have a drone companion as its wingman. And that top speed is classified. So you can see how it's gone from like 4th gen to 6th gen, from F-15EX to the F-47. When Lee Wilbarger and myself were at Area 51, at the gates of Area 51, Rachel, Nevada, we were actually greeted by 2 F-15s. They flew past us really low. Then they came back and they did it again. I've got one of the pilots literally waving. You can see him waving at us. It's so cool. He's like, hey, he was that low. And I was able to capture him with my camera to where he's waving at us. And you want to hear something really cool is that was this, cool and sad at the same time. So Val Kilmer passed. He was an awesome pilot in Top Gun. He was flying F-14s. Well, the same day that he passed, we were greeted by these F-15s with these pilots flying really low saying, hey, what's up? So it's almost like, paying homage to Val Kilmer, being able to get that and upload it. Very, very fascinating. But these F-47s are just next gen, next level. And it's going to be interesting to see if they're showing us the F-47s. It makes you wonder if they're going to show us 6th generation aircraft and be working on these over the next 10 or so years, 10, 20 years and beyond. Are they working on generation 7 technologies right now? I would think yes, especially after the White House came out recently and said they have weaponry and technologies that can basically bend space and time. That's probably Gen 7. You're probably going from 1,000 nautical miles to something that can actually transport anywhere on the planet at any given time. It could show up in New York City and then disappear and then be flying right over Beijing within milliseconds. That's probably generation 7 technology, warp, speed, function technology. But We can't prove it yet. It's pure speculation. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. This might make you question the next spider you see. The world's first CRISPR-edited spider produces glowing red silk from its spinneret. Look at that. Looks like a lightsaber coming out its butt. Wow. You got lightsabers coming out the spider's spinnerets, and it's genetically modified. If they can genetically modify red silk from spiders, what else can they do? What else are they doing? Why are you creating red silk from spiders? Like, what's the purpose of that? Just to say you could do it? I mean, it's pretty cool, right? But it's also pretty spooky. Imagine the consequences. But don't worry, because we have mind-controlled cockroaches. You can actually buy this online. You can buy technology that will allow you to control a cockroach and its brain. I'm not joking. And here's an article right now, Sustainability Times. Mind-controlled roaches are real. Scientists use UV helmets to wirelessly command cockroach cyborgs in chilling new experiment. But this isn't a new experiment because they were doing this 10 years ago. You can pull up articles from 2015 that say the exact same thing. We figured out how to control a cockroach's mind using light. It's called optogenetics. I was talking about this yesterday. I did a exclusive interview with Pastor Paul Begley. He's got a conference coming up Friday, a webinar coming up on Friday, and we were talking about the singularity. We were talking about the possibility of there being some type of ET phenomena and what it actually is, because a lot of people have different theories about what these things are. But I can tell you this, it's definitely happening. People are still to this day being abducted by things that they can't explain what they are. They've got their own verbiage for it. Some people call them grays. Some people call them biological robots or ebens. Some people call them fallen angels. I would never call anything a fallen angel, though. I'd be real careful on that. However, that's what, that's the mindset of a lot of people. Now, I interviewed a Navy veteran submariner that verified his service in the Navy, and he was working on top secret missile projects, and he was being abducted while he was working on these projects. Think about that for a minute. So if you're asking the question, why don't they give full disclosure? It's probably because they don't want to freak people out. It's one thing to show a craft and say, oh, look, we found a downed craft. It could be alien technology. It's another thing to say there's people in the military that are being abducted by things they can't explain, and they can take them whenever they want, wherever they want, and then they bring them back after they obtain the information they need from the subject. Very bizarre. Regardless, in that conversation I had with Pastor Paul Begley, we were talking about optogenetics. I'll bring it back to the optogenetics, where they were doing studies around 2012 using light to manipulate the behavior of certain subjects. Like, I think they were using certain test rats. They were changing the behavior of these test rats with optogenetics, which is basically light control. Imagine a future where everybody, to some degree, is controlled by light patterns. Sounds kind of spooky, right? So anyway, I don't know. Be prepared, not scared. Like, are they going to do that with the TV in high definition where you don't even need to have a helmet on? You're just watching it from the TV screen now, and it's putting certain information into your mind, making you think a specific way? It's possible. Maybe, maybe not. But right now, we'll keep it in the realm of conspiratorial. We'll put it back in that bin. This is not conspiratorial. Matter of fact, look at this. Check this out. Never mind. Am I still live? Okay, yes, we are. Cool. You can buy, if you go to Backyard Brains, Robo Roach. Learn about advanced neurotechnologies, learning and memory through hands-on experiments. Use the same techniques as deep brain stimulation in humans. However, the Robo Roach can wirelessly control a cockroach's left and right movement by microstimulating the antenna nerves. A great way to engage with neural microstimulation, behavior, learning, and memory. Roaches adapt. The Robo Roach surgery kit and cockroaches are sold separately. Oh, man. Hey, I got an idea. Forget the cockroach. Let's go get Bill. Hey, Bill, you want to try this new experiment? Come here, man. Come here. Check this out. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. It's amazing. All right. So what else we got here? Oh, yeah. Kind of cool. Unknown species of bacteria discovered in China's space station. Swabs from China's Tianyang space station reveal traces of a bacterium unseen on Earth with characteristics that may help it function under stressful environmental conditions hundreds of kilometers above the planet's surface. Naming their discovery after the station, researchers from the Shenzhou Space Biotechnology Group and the Beijing Institute of Spacecraft System Engineering say the study of Nyalia tiangonensis and similar species could be essential in protecting astronaut health and spacecraft functionality over long missions. What could possibly go wrong? Yeah, let's study that on Earth. Let's bring stuff that grows on the space station in space to Earth. That doesn't sound dangerous. Sounds like a good idea. It's for the astronauts. We're going to give it to them in their oatmeal. It'll make them stronger, you know? Yeah, that's what it'll do. Yeah, that's what we'll tell them. The fungus that grows on space stations in space, we are now going to put in your food supply to make you feel better in space. It will give you extra space powers. Not quite as silly as this, though. And a clear sign of just how hard it is to change food without forcing it through legislation, we have here an iconic candy company saying it plans to stick with its artificial dyes. Thank you very much. Well, guess what the name of the lollipop it's called Dum Dum. Yeah, Dum Dum lollipops. That's a perfect name for Dum Dum lollipops. That's the name of the company, Dum Dum lollipops. They're going to keep their artificial colors in there because people want to see really bright lollipops before they eat it. So they're not going to change it. You know, they're just going to keep it artificial food dyes. They think it's safe because they've been doing it for about 50 years. So Dum Dums, yeah. I won't ever be buying a Dum Dum lollipop. I wouldn't have before, but now, you know, like if I see Dum Dums at the store, first thing that's going to come to my mind is Dum Dum. Like, people are ridiculous. It amazes me how the news is spinning the artificial dyes in foods and fluoride in the water, the way that the news spins it. Like it's, oh, they want to take fluoride out of the water. Health experts are concerned. Oh, look at what the experts have to say about taking fluoride out of the water. They think it's I was like, seriously? Well, I'll tell you this much. I know somebody in the education system that one time I said fluoride could take, you know, I said, well, I heard this about fluoride, that people that consume fluoride regularly, it actually lowers their IQ. I didn't say I knew it was fact. I just said, this is what I heard. This is the research that I've done. And that person said, well, that's okay with me. I'm okay with that. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, okay. Well, let's change the subject then. Let's talk about something else. Like, seriously? There's alternatives to fluoride for your teeth, folks. I'm just saying. There's probably alternatives out there. And now you have companies, they're like, we want to keep our food dyes in there. We want to keep, because, you know, we've been doing it for 50 years. That's what people want, man. People want the artificial flavorings. People want the artificial sweeteners. People want the food dyes, the genetically modified corn. They love that stuff. Anyway, that's my rant and opinion. We've all got them, though, right? We've all got opinions. And you know what they say opinions are like? Well, you better have one hell of an opinion then. These comments are great. I love these comments. It's good to see you all, and I appreciate y'all very much for sticking with me. I appreciate y'all watching the shows. I just got back from Tennessee. I was out there for a month working on a new project, and I'm glad I worked on that project for a month because it made me realize how much I love Leak Project and how much I love you guys and gals, and how we need to go like overtime on this. We need to do this overtime. So check us out on Patreon. Be a Patreon. That helps Leak Project. That helps me. That makes it easier for me to put 12 hours a day into the shows, 10, 12 hours a day into Leak Project versus other projects. So thank you. And just hit the like button, hit the share the video out, check back daily for new content. We're going to be uploading on Podbean now. That's just going to go all over, I think 14 different podcast platforms. And we're going to be uploading on Rumble as well. But for exclusive content, check us out on Patreon. I'll do my best to upload as much as I can free content here on YouTube. Somebody left a comment the other day, hey, I've been watching Leak Project for 10 years, and I'm disappointed that you're going on Patreon now. And I said, look, I appreciate you watching the shows. I'm going to upload as much as I can for free here on YouTube. Patreon is, there's certain stuff we can talk about on Patreon that we don't talk about on other platforms, if that makes sense. And so, anyway, yeah. Any comments? Any concerns? Here it is. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, that crop circle show is fun, right? Has anybody seen any recent crop circles lately? Any new crop circles? I think Patty made a great point about those crop circles. They were so hot for a while, and then now we hardly see or hear anything about the crop circles. Very interesting. You've known me since Texas. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate all you guys and gals. Seriously, like I almost feel like we're family. We're like soul family in many ways. Oh yeah, and I'm doing a Petroglyph tour June 28th. I hope you can make it. It's going to be around Four Corners area, and these petroglyphs aren't even on the map, by the way. So these petroglyphs that I'm going to be taking people out to, they're not on the map. And then there's this place out there that's this ancient ruin that looks like it's on a giant skull. There's ruins on top and there's ruins underneath. It's this huge rock boulder that looks literally like a skull. And we're going to go there. We're going to look at some ruins on top of the mesa. We're going to look at a bunch of petroglyphs. If you're interested in going on the Petroglyph tour with us, it's going to be June 28th. Send me an email, leakproject@gmail.com, and we'll get you hooked up. So have a beautiful day and be the change you want to see, everybody. Thank you. You're awesome.